Good morning, Sarah here. How are you all doing? Another lovely day. I've been on a bit of a mission today to find a well in the nearby market town to me. Sadly, it's been capped over and built upon, or at least, there's a road on it, a pavement over the place where it was, and is no longer available for people to go and gather water as they have been for centuries before. In fact, it was a place where everybody could go and collect free water, good drinking water, and what have you. And then I think in about the 60s, 70s, when they started really developing the town, it was capped. And then, all that remains is a manhole cover, basically. And, there's new buildings around and it's in the middle of a car park, and it's all very sad. And the reason I went to have a look to see if I could find it is because I remembered this street was called Ladywell Street. And I have recently been reading and listening to this book called Wellbeing, which is back to front, I think, probably, by Charlotte Emily Rose, who's an Irish woman, has been doing a lot of research on wells. So I thought I'd go and have a look and see if I could find it. And I took my pendulum, and I'll show you in a little bit. My pendulum just recognising where the water was. It wasn't exactly playing ball, because when I did it without filming, the pendulum was spiralling really strongly over this manhole cover. And then when I got my phone out and wanted to film it for you guys, it decided I didn't want to do it. It was just going like really slowly and not particularly energetically. Anyway, take my word for it. It was doing its stuff before I got the camera out. Anyway, the point being is that Charlotte Emily Rose has done a lot of work on the significance of wells and how important they are for the energetic surroundings, the free-flowing well, the well where people go and collect water and it's constantly flowing. And when they're blocked up or blocked up or capped or built over, the water becomes stagnant, and the energy, the vibrant energy created by this moving water is rather subdued, and it creates a low vibration around it. And I believe that's half the problem with this town, is that it has been, well, for one thing, this well has been capped and built over, so nobody can access the water anymore, and presumably it just drains into a drain somewhere, and it's not, able to spiral like it would normally. And I believe that's what's causing part of the problem with the town, is that the town is pretty depressed these days. The market is, a couple of cheap clothing stall. We do have one good baker that has a stall where I go down for my sourdough, but mostly it's pretty run down. It's full of charity shops and what have you, and it's just not a booming town anymore, where it used to be in the sort of 60s and 70s. It used to be absolutely booming. Farmers' wives would come with their jams and pickles and garden vegetables and what have you to sell, and now it's just awful. So I believe that a lot of this stagnant energy is the problem, and not only the well, but I said in a previous video that there's a bypass that was built about, I think probably about 8 years ago, that runs across the top of the town, but it cuts through a dragon line that ran through the middle of the town. Now, interrupting energy lines can be a really bad thing for an area. And I think that's a little bit of a problem too, is that this bypass has severed the dragon line, or at least split it off, or something's happening around that space. And all of this is creating stagnation in the town, like it's like inflammation. They've got a drug problem, there's a lot of alcoholic fights on at the weekend, and recently we've had stabbings and just all sorts, and it's the whole town has this really kind of low energy, apart from the fact that they've got 5G and now possibly 6G cells around the place as well. So I always feel quite kind of heavy when I go in there. So I try to, do whatever I've got to do and quickly and get out again. So, coming back to this well, what Charlotte Rose suggests is that we can honour the wells and try and activate them again. Now, I can't go and dig the road up and stick a pump on the well, or make a well so the water rises and is available for people to go and collect. But what I can do is to go and offer some songs, or some, take some mugwort down there, or I could make a spirit doll and take it down there and tuck it in the bushes around it, just to honour the water and honour the well, because as Charlotte in her book says, we are wells, well beings, and water moves through us in the constant cycle of water on the planet. I was having a conversation the other day with some ladies that I do a meditation with once a week, and we were talking about this cycle, this movement of water, and how we are part of that cycle. So we take it in, we drink water, hopefully good filtered, structured if you can, water, which hydrates our bodies and flushes out any toxins through our kidneys and what have you. It might flush out through our eyes, saliva, and then when we go for a wee, we're flushing the toxins out, but we're also removing that water for cleansing. Now, unfortunately, it goes, well, unfortunately, I don't know, we would have cholera probably if it didn't, but it goes into a sewage system and cleansed, and then it goes out to wherever they send it out to. I'm not quite sure how the sewage system works, but water generally finds its way back into the system, into the rivers, down to the sea, and then when it's in the sea, it'll evaporate, go up and make clouds, and then it will come down as rain. And again, it'll fill up the reservoirs, it'll fill up the aquifers, it'll fill up the underground lakes, the underground system, and we drink it, and around it goes. So we are part of this continual life force that is water, and water has memory. So, if we're drinking stagnant water, then the memory of that water is dead. There's nothing there, there's no life force to it. So we need to make a bit of an effort about finding or filtering water. If we only have access to tap water, you can buy a filter, or have one put in your kitchen under the tap, under the sink. So just going back to this whole thing about wells and how important they were for the life force of the community, both spiritually, for healing, but just for everyday drinking pure spring water, made such a difference to the stuff that we have access to, which is highly chlorinated, sometimes fluorided water that has been through straight pipes instead of spiraling like it would coming out of the ground. And so it's really important, I feel, that we find our local wells, and Charlotte goes into some depth in her book, and also there's a podcast with her, Mark Atwood, I think, on YouTube that I listened to that was very inspiring. That we go and we try and enliven these wells again so that the water is brought to life, re-energized, and just acknowledging that it's gone through some heavy stuff. You know, it's been capped, that humans have, you know, tried to stop its flow, and, you know, deep gratitude for the fact that it's probably still trickling somewhere, but wherever it goes down the pipe or what have you. But just to honour the fact that these wells were super important in the past and are still super important, and we need to just acknowledge that they're there, really, and hopefully, you know, the energy will change. And this seems to be my mission at the moment, is this town is just so depressed that I'm looking for ways of re-energizing it, looking for ways that I can help change the energy a little bit. I mean, you know, I'm not so arrogant to think that I can do it all on my own, but if I know where these spots are, then I can gather other people to come and help, or, you know, to show people how we can all help re-energize dead areas. And that's really important to me, because I think that's, you know, partly that's our job on this planet, is to just recognize that, you know, in the past some stupid things have been done by humans, and now we're going to try and rectify it, as even in little ways, by offering gratitude and just honoring. So I'll just add the little bit of video on the end of this to show you the pendulum that was swinging. I tend to use pendulum because they work better for me than dowsing rods. I don't know why. I guess we all have different ways of working, but I find the pendulum, I can track an energy line and watch how the pendulum drags in the energy where it's quite strong, and then places where there isn't a strong energy line, it just kind of moves through the air quite easily. But on an energy line, it kind of drags as if you're pulling it through treacle. So I find it works for me better like that. So that's all. Maybe you can have a look on an Ordnance Survey map to see where there are any wells near you. Maybe some are still in use, maybe some need clearing out, maybe some are capped that you can still just go and talk to, sing to, whatever. Okay, have a lovely day. I'll speak to you all soon. Ciao for now.